Have you ever made a change in your home because someone told you this will make things easier, only to realize later that it didn't feel easier at all? Maybe it even made you feel a little less capable than before. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many people over 60 make well-intentioned changes to their homes, hoping to stay safe and comfortable. But some of those changes quietly chip away at independence instead of protecting it. The truth is, most of us don't want a house that reminds us we're getting older. We want a home that supports us while still letting us feel strong, capable, and in control of our daily lives. That's why this conversation matters so much. Small decisions about your home can shape how confident you feel every single day. They can encourage movement and self-reliance, or they can slowly train your body and mind to do less. Today, we're talking about a few very common house modifications seniors make with good intentions, but that often have the opposite effect. The goal here isn't to criticize or scare you, it's to help you look at your home with fresh eyes and make choices that truly support your independence, not just your safety on paper. Let's start with something incredibly common: replacing stairs with too many shortcuts. This often shows up as installing stair lifts, removing a few steps, or rearranging daily routines so you rarely have to use stairs at all. On the surface, this sounds like a smart move. Stairs can feel tiring, and nobody wants to risk a fall. But here's what often happens over time. When stairs disappear from your daily life, so does one of the most natural forms of strength training you have. Climbing stairs gently works your legs, hips, balance, and even your heart. When that movement is taken away completely, muscles weaken faster than most people realize. Balance can decline, endurance drops. Months later, people find they're actually less steady on their feet than before the modification. What started as a safety upgrade quietly reduced physical ability. This doesn't mean stairs are always the right answer, or that everyone should push themselves beyond comfort. It means that removing challenge entirely can backfire. Sometimes the more independence-friendly choice is to make stairs safer instead of eliminating them. Better lighting, sturdy handrails on both sides, non-slip treads, and keeping stairs clutter-free often preserve strength while reducing risk. When your home still encourages you to move, even gently, it helps your body remember what it can do. Another modification that often causes trouble is over-relying on built-in seating and resting spots everywhere. Benches in showers, chairs placed every few steps, and seating stations in hallways can seem comforting, and in certain situations they are absolutely necessary. But when they're added too early or used all the time, they can quietly train you to sit instead of stand, to pause instead of continue. Standing up from a seated position is one of the most important movements for staying independent. It uses your legs, core, and balance. When a home is designed so that you're always encouraged to sit, those muscles don't get the practice they need. Over time, standing up becomes harder, not easier. That's when people start to feel dependent on furniture, walls, or even other people just to get moving. A more independence-friendly approach is balance. Instead of placing seating everywhere just in case, it can help to keep rest options where they're truly needed, while allowing open spaces that encourage natural movement. Sometimes simply raising seat height, choosing firmer cushions, or using armrests makes standing easier without removing the need to stand at all. These small adjustments support your strength rather than replacing it. There's also an emotional side to these choices that people don't talk about enough. When a home is filled with reminders that you might fall, sit down, or stop, it sends a message to your brain. That message is subtle but powerful. It says, "Be careful, you can't do this like you used to." Over time, confidence fades, and confidence is just as important as muscle when it comes to independence. The goal isn't to live in a house that ignores reality, it's to live in a house that believes in you, one that supports you without taking over for you. When modifications quietly do too much, they can take away opportunities to move, adapt, and stay strong. As we keep going, it becomes clear that many of these well-meaning changes have one thing in common. They focus on avoiding difficulty rather than managing it wisely, and that difference matters more than most people realize, especially as the years go by. As we keep talking about these well-meaning changes, it helps to look at another one that shows up in many homes after retirement years begin: lowering everything to avoid reaching. Kitchen shelves come down, closets are rearranged so nothing is above shoulder height. Even light switches and storage are sometimes placed lower than standard. At first glance, this feels practical. Reaching can feel awkward and no one wants to strain or lose balance. But when reaching disappears from daily life, so does an important part of mobility and coordination. Reaching up, even gently, keeps shoulders flexible, maintains upper body strength, and helps with balance. When you remove that movement entirely, stiffness often increases. Arms feel weaker, tasks like dressing, grooming, or even carrying groceries start to feel harder than they should. What's tricky is that this decline happens quietly. People often don't connect it to the home changes they made months or years earlier. There's also a mental shift that comes with this kind of modification. When your home assumes you shouldn't reach, your confidence adjusts to match that assumption. You may start avoiding movements that are still well within your ability simply because the environment suggests you should. A more supportive approach is selective access. Keep frequently used items within easy reach, but allow some safe, controlled reaching to remain part of daily routines. Using stable step stools with hand support or organizing items so reaching is done slowly and intentionally can preserve ability without unnecessary risk. Another very common modification that sounds helpful but often reduces independence is relying too heavily on automatic or voice-controlled systems for basic tasks. Automatic lights, motorized curtains, smart appliances, and voice assistants can feel like a gift, especially when technology promises convenience. And to be clear, these tools can be wonderful when used thoughtfully. The problem comes when they replace simple physical actions that help keep the mind and body engaged. Walking across a room to turn on a light, opening and closing curtains by hand, or adjusting settings manually all involve movement, coordination, and decision-making. When everything happens automatically, daily activity shrinks, physical effort decreases. Even mental alertness can take a small hit when routines no longer require attention. Over time, days become more passive than active, even though nothing obvious feels wrong at first. There's also the risk of dependence on systems that can fail. Power outages, technical glitches, or unfamiliar updates can suddenly make basic tasks stressful. When someone has grown used to not doing things manually, those moments feel overwhelming. Independence isn't just about ease, it's about adaptability. Being able to do things yourself, even if slowly, builds resilience. A healthier balance often means using automation as a backup rather than a replacement. Let technology assist you when you're tired or unwell, but keep manual options available and in regular use. Flip the switch sometimes, pull the curtain yourself. Let your body stay involved in the rhythm of your home. One more modification that deserves attention is turning bathrooms into overly restrictive spaces. Walk-in tubs, heavy grab bars everywhere, and layouts designed almost entirely around fall prevention can be helpful when truly needed. But when installed too early or without thought, they make people overly cautious. Movement becomes stiff, showers become something to get through instead of a normal part of the day. Bathrooms are one of the few places where balance, flexibility, and coordination naturally come into play. Stepping in and out, turning, reaching, and shifting weight all happen in small, controlled ways. When everything is fixed, rigid, and heavily assisted, those natural movements disappear. Over time, balance declines faster because it's no longer practiced in a safe, everyday environment. This isn't about avoiding safety features, it's about choosing the right ones at the right time. A single, well-placed grab bar, good lighting, non-slip flooring, and a shower layout that allows movement without forcing it can support both safety and strength. When the bathroom still allows you to move with confidence rather than fear, it becomes a space that supports independence instead of limiting it. As you listen to this, you might notice a pattern forming. Many of these modifications are driven by the same fear: the fear of falling, the fear of struggling, the fear of losing control. But when fear designs the home without balance, it often creates the very loss of independence people were trying to avoid. The environment starts doing everything for you, and slowly you do less for yourself. That brings us to one final, very common change that ties all of this together, and it has less to do with equipment and more to do with how the home is used day to day.
The last change is one that almost nobody thinks of as a house modification, yet it might be the most powerful of all. It's when daily spaces are arranged to avoid effort altogether. Chairs are placed so close together that you rarely take full steps. Frequently used items are positioned so routines become shorter and shorter. Rooms you once used regularly are quietly closed off because there's no need to go in there anymore. Little by little, the home shrinks, even though the walls haven't moved. When movement is designed out of daily life, independence weakens faster than most people expect. Walking from one end of the house to the other, carrying something light, opening doors, or standing while talking on the phone may seem small, but these actions keep the body and brain connected. When everything you need is within arm's reach, your world becomes smaller, and so does your confidence. This kind of setup often comes from a loving place. Family members want to help. They want you to conserve energy. They want you to protect you from strain. But conserving energy all the time teaches the body that it doesn't need to produce energy anymore. Muscles respond by weakening. Balance responds by fading. Even mood can be affected because movement is closely tied to motivation and emotional health. The encouraging part is that none of this means you've done something wrong. These choices are common because no one explains the long-term effects. Most advice focuses on immediate safety, not on preserving independence over years. The good news is that awareness alone can make a huge difference. When you start noticing how your home invites you to move or sit, to reach or avoid, to walk or stop, you regain a sense of control. A truly supportive home doesn't remove all challenge, it manages challenge wisely. It gives you handrails instead of replacing stairs completely. It gives you options instead of restrictions. It allows effort without danger. When a home respects your ability, it quietly encourages you to keep using it. If you're thinking about changes now or reconsidering ones you've already made, it can help to ask a simple question. Does this change help me do things safely, or does it do things for me? There's a big difference. Safety that supports action preserves independence. Convenience that replaces action slowly takes it away. Small adjustments can often restore balance. Moving one chair farther away, reopening a room and giving it a purpose again, reaching for something once or twice a day instead of avoiding it completely, walking an extra few steps indoors when the weather isn't great. These aren't workouts, they're reminders to your body that it still matters, still works, still responds. It's also important to trust your own experience. If a modification makes you feel hesitant, weaker, or less confident over time, that feeling is worth listening to. Independence isn't measured by how modern or assisted a home looks. It's measured by how capable you feel living in it. If any of this sounds familiar, you're not alone, and you're certainly not stuck. Many people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond quietly reclaim independence simply by adjusting how their home supports them, not by removing safety, but by restoring participation. If you feel comfortable, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you made a change in your home that didn't turn out the way you expected? Or have you found a small adjustment that helped you feel stronger and more confident? Sharing experiences helps others feel less alone, and it often sparks ideas that truly help. If this conversation was useful to you, take a moment to like the video. It helps more people find information that actually supports independence instead of quietly taking it away. And if you'd like more thoughtful, honest conversations about aging well, staying capable, and making choices that respect your independence, consider subscribing to the channel. No matter your age, your ability to adapt, grow, and stay engaged doesn't disappear. It responds to how you live each day. Your home should be a partner in that process, not a limitation. Here's to staying capable, confident, and in control, one thoughtful choice at a time.